Hi there, welcome back to the YouTube channel. We're back still going through the Avatar cards, and today we've definitely got one from the Commander set. Now I know what the symbol is, and it is, as you know by the video description, Hei Bai, Forest Guardian. 3 in a green for a 4/4, legendary creature, Bear Spirit. And when Hei Bai enters the battle, reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a shrine card. And then you may put that card onto the battlefield, then shuffle. And then you can play Wooburg. And for each legendary enchantment you control, create a 1/1 colourless spirit creature token with this creature can't block or be blocked by non-spirit creatures. We have had Shrine Commanders before. For those of you who've been around for a while, you probably remember Go-Shintai of Life's Origin. Same mana cost, a little bit weaker for the power side of it, but for Wooburg you just get to return an enchantment card from your graveyard to the battlefield. And when Go-Shintai of Life's Origin or another shrine enters the battlefield, you could create a 1/1 colourless shrine enchantment creature token. Now, I have been waiting a long time to do this deck. Once I saw shrines being spoiled, I've been waiting for all 5 of them to be released. And as I record this one today, I found the 5th one. So this is kind of a semi-update for Go-Shintai, but it is really featuring, we really want to play around with Hei Bai, the Forest Guardian. I did the original Go-Shintai deck quite a while back now. There's a link in the description down below to the original video. So you can go and look at that one and see the changes I've made there. But I just want to point out that this deck can use either of these as the commanders. Obviously, I'm going to be referring to Hei Bai today. But Go-Shintai is in the deck and you can just swap the commanders around if you want to. So just bear that in mind when we're doing today's deck. But here we go. Here's what my take on our new Spirit Shrine Commander really does look like. Hope you enjoy it. So, starting at the beginning, we've got the Composer of Spring coming in. Enchantment is battlefield and out control. You can put a land card from our hand onto the battlefield tapped. 6 more enchantments. We can put a creature or a land card onto the battlefield. Sounds good. Then we've got the Go-Shintai shrines themselves. So the Boundless Vigor ones here, so we can get those +1/+1 counters on a target shrine for each shrine we control. The Go-Shintai of Lost Wisdom is also in, just so we can mill away people's cards. Herald of the Pantheon makes an appearance. Whenever you cast an enchantment spell, you gain a life and they cost 1 less to cast, which is a nice little ramp. Likewise, Inquisitive Glimmer from Duskmourn, which obviously wasn't around when the original Go-Shintai came out, cuts the cost for enchantment spells down again by 1, so it's in. Along with Jukai Naturalist for that little bit of life gain with the lifelink and again reducing the cost for our enchantments. Kami of the Transcendent is in again. We like making this big with a +1/+1 counters, and obviously we've got a nice way, a bit of recursion if it doesn't get exiled, to keep getting it back if we need to. Sanctum Weaver's in, just to give us a whole mana boost when we get there. And Sithis Harvest Hand's in as well for that extra card draw and life gain. Next one of the Go-Shintai creature shrines is in. The one where we can do the Ancient Walls and we can deal X damage to target player or planeswalker, where X is the number of shrines we control for 1 at the end of our turn. Expensive card alert, just so we're all aware of this, Academy Rector's made the deck. Now, I will be playing this mainly online. If you're lucky enough to own an Academy Rector from back in the day, lucky for you to play this in paper. But if you don't, you can find something else to replace this with. I've got a couple of ideas, and one of which is basically another land, to be perfectly honest, because this because you want to play Wooburg for Hei Bai or Go-Shintai, depending which one you're playing, having lands come in is quite useful. So yeah, you can do that. Land Search, Kodoma's Reach isn't in the deck, so you could replace this with that if you wanted to. Eidolon of Blossoms for the extra card draw. Then the other 2 Go-Shintai, well, 2 of the Go-Shintai ones anyway. Go-Shintai of Hidden Cruelty to destroy creatures with toughness X or less, where X is the number of shrines we control. Obviously, as I said, Go-Shintai is in here as well. We all know what this does. I've talked about it already. And then Go-Shintai of Shared Purpose comes in as well. Who doesn't like getting the spirit creature tokens for each shrine we control? One of the new cards that is coming with Avatar is Guru Pathic 2 and then hybrid blue-green, blue-green. Look at the top 5 cards. When it enters, we can get a lesson, a saga or a shrine from among them, put them in the hand, put the rest on the bottom of our library in a random order. And then this just gets bigger when we cast our shrines, basically, because we haven't got any sagas in the deck anymore. We have got a lesson, so it does get a bit bigger with one lesson, but you'll see that when it comes out shortly. Solemn Simsin, just to help us sort our mana out, and then some of the newer creatures we've had come through since Go-Shintai first came out. Yenna, Red Tooth Regents come in just so we can copy our enchantments if we need to, and they aren't legendary, so yay, go for us. Obviously, we're not going to get the untap ability with the Red Tooth because none of them are auras, but you know, copying some of the shrines is always good fun, especially since they become non-legendary. And then one of the big upgrades from Bloombar itself, Wild Seer Scarring Maw, 3 red and green for a 6/6 elemental wolf, gives all of our enchantment spells Cascade. Yeah, when we cast them for our hand, but they all get Cascade, so definitely an upside with this one going in the deck nowadays. Sorceries, well, there's really one very expensive one in here, but it's not Resurgent Belief. It's just a nice way if you've been having all your enchantments destroyed. Nice cheapish way after a couple of turns of getting it back into all your enchantments back into play. The lesson I mentioned is Aang's Journey. It's 2 colourless for a sorcery lesson. It's got a kicker of 2 as well, so if you just pay the 2, you go and find a basic, put it in your hand. But if you pay the 4, you can go and find a basic and a shrine. They go in your hand, and whichever one you do, you gain 2 life as well. So yeah, it's pretty good for 2 mana, I feel. Farseek's in, just to give us that ramp along with Nature's Law, 3 visits. I've kept Genesis Wave in from the original deck because it's green at the end of the day, and I still love Genesis Wave. If you don't like Genesis Wave, fine. Replace it with something else, but it's here. Expensive card alert, because I'm playing this on Magic Online. Time Twister's in. Again, another card you can replace with something else that's a little bit cheaper. There have been several variants of this recently that have come out, which still haven't, well, basically aren't as anywhere near as expensive as Time Twister is, so you can go and pick them up and replace that if you want to, but it's quite nice to have the ability to shuffle everything back in if it's gone pear-shaped. I went with Day of Judgment. You can go with Wrath of God, you can go with Damnation. They're all reasonable cards in here, but I like Day of Judgment, so it's here. A little bit more ramp with Ranger's Path, and then another expensive card. Again, cheap on Magic Online, expensive in real life. Replenish, just another way to get all our enchantments back if everything gets destroyed. Sky Shroud Claim goes and gets us a couple of forests, and you can guess which ones we're going to be looking for. And then a couple of big spells to finish off. Brilliant Restoration returns all our artifacts and enchantments, and we've got a little bit of them, so you know, well, lots of enchantments, not so many artifacts. Again, an expensive card. Take it out if you want to. You don't need it in the deck. I just have it in because I like that backup ability again. Eerie Ultimatum is just fantastic, because anything that is in the graveyard we get to return, because obviously everything in our graveyard apart from basic lands would have a different name, so we get them all back for 7 mana. And then Ruinous Ultimatum, so we can blow everyone else's permanents up, which I think is always a nice catch-all to have in a deck that's this heavy on colours. Artifacts, not many. We've got Mox Tantalite, just gives that little bit of ramp, and then the Elixir's in, just because everything goes pear-shaped sometimes, you need to shuffle it all back in. Arcane Signet for some more coloured ramp. I've left Font of Mythos in, and I just thought this artwork was funny, hence why I haven't changed it. The extra card draw's nice, but if you want to pay 2 instead, this can be Harrowing Mind, so bear that in mind if you want to. And then finally, Lithothorm Engine, because who doesn't like copying their triggered abilities? Yeah. Yeah, might as well, might we? End of the day. From there, we hit the enchantments. Starting off one of the new ones, the Northern Air Temple, 1 black, comes into play. Each opponent loses X life and you gain X life, where X is the number of shrines we control. And then whenever another shrine you control enters, each opponent loses 1 and you gain 1. Sanctum of Life gives you that ability to start tapping things down when you get enough shrines in play to just pay the 1 white mana. Sanctum of Fans, Stone Fang, sorry. At the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, each opponent loses X and you gain X, where X is the number of shrines we control. Yep, they go together very well. Sterling Grove to protect all our enchantments and give them Shroud. Enchantress Presence for more card draw. Honden of Infinite Rage. Beginning of our upkeep deals damage to target creature or player equals the number of shrines we control. We all know this one from back in the day. Rites of Flourishing for some extra card draw and land drops. Sanctum of the Fruitful Harvest just gives a whole load of mana. Only of 1 colour, so make sure you've got the mana you want coming in from this when you look at it from your hand. Sanctum of Shattered Heights just chucks around some damage if we discard a land or a shrine. Quite a nice way to empty your hand out if you know you've got the Resurgent Belief going off, so you can trigger them that way and get them all back into play that way, so just bear that in mind. It's a little bit of a trick. One of the new shrines from Avatar, the Spirit Oasis, 2 in a blue. Enters, you draw a card for each shrine you control, and then each shrine can triggers a draw for you when you play it. Crescent Temple Island, which really threw me when I saw it was red. Enters the battlefield, we get 1/1 red monk creature tokens with prowess for each shrine we control, and it gives us another one every time a shrine enters. Seems fair to me. Honden of the Cleansing Fires in as well, just get that life gain on the go, and the Knight's Reach to take out that person who's playing all those counter spells that are annoying you. Another one that confused me because it's got Island in its name, it's a blue card, and this is the one I was waiting for them to come out. It's Koshi Island Plaza, 3 in a green. When it enters, we get to search our library for up to X basic land cards, where X is the number of shrines we control. Put those cards onto the battlefield tapped. Not your hand, onto the battlefield. And then shuffle. And you get to keep repeating that every time you play a shrine when this is in play. Seems, good. Ramp, maybe? Yeah. I think so. Anyway, Sanctum of Calm Waters lets us draw cards, then we discard a card. Smothering Tithe stayed in just because I do like the treasures and I do want the ramp to happen. Another one, the other of the new shrines is also here. Southern Air Temple, that's all 5 of them now. This one puts X +1/+1 counters on each creature you control, where X is the number of shrines we control. And then whenever another shrine you control enters, put a +1/+1 counter on each of your creatures. Great. If you play this, put the trigger on the stack, activate Hei Bai to go and get our legendary, well, go and get our spirits and make them really, really big, which makes them very, very difficult to block in the next turn. Just bear that in mind. To help us keep building our spirits up and our other little shrine tokens, we've got Cathar's Crusade. Again, a card you can drop and take out and put something else in if you want to, but I've left it in because it's Cathar's Crusade and I just enjoy it, to be honest. Honden of Life's Web gives us more spirit creatures for each shrine we control at the beginning of our upkeep. Honden of the Seeing Winds lets us draw even more cards. Mirari's Wakes in, just to make sure we can double up on our mana production and pump all our creatures up a bit. And of course, it had to be here from M21, Sanctum of All. Beginning of your upkeep, you may search your library or graveyard for a shrine, put it onto the battlefield. And then if another shrine you control triggers while you control 6 or more shrines, you trigger it twice. Yeah. There is a version of this deck, and I'll just go the lands. Sorry, we'll do the lands. I'll go back to it. Command Tower, 6 forests. We've got lots of basics because of the Island Plaza, I'll be honest. 6 forests, 5 islands, 4 mountains, 5 plains, 4 swamps. And then I have gone with Command Tower and Heliod's Generosity because you do want to get your enchantments back if things do go a bit funny. I have played all the triomes. Now, it's up to you. You can either play all the triomes or the check lands, as they were, the ones that come into play. So as long as you've got 2 or more opponents, it comes into play untapped. That's fine. You can play them if you want to. I went with the triomes because I quite like the cycling idea. If there's a point of the game where I need to draw more cards, I can use to cycle through, go that way with it. I have kept Reliquary Tower in. It may be one of the few times I'm going to say you may not want Reliquary Tower in the deck. If you're going to be drawing a lot of cards, which is very likely with this deck, having no maximum hand size can be a bit of an issue unless you've got the red shrine in play that lets you discard cards. So it may be Reliquary Tower that gets cut for some other enchantment that takes your mind off. Or you could just cut it entirely and play something else, because 39, you could play Soul Ring is not on the deck, for instance, so you could drop Reliquary Tower and play Soul Ring if you wanted to, so bear that in mind. I have got the World Tree in just so we can make sure all of our lands can tap for anything when we get there, and the new land that really does help from the set, the White Lotus Hideout. Tap for colourless, or 1 and tap for any mana of any colour, or you can just tap it and spend mana to cast a Listen or Shine spell. It gives you 1 of any colour then, so it does kind of smooth out your mana quite a bit. A bit like a slightly worse Command Tower, but the same idea. As I was saying, just to go back up to here, we've got some, like I said, the expensive cards that are in here. Time Twister, Replenish. You can change them around for whatever you want to change them around for. I mean, you could do this as Wrath of God to go your Day of Judgment or Damnation. You could take Time Twister out and replace it with Echo of Eons or Time Spiral, Days Undoing. What's the other one I'm trying to think of? Commit to Memory. Is that the one? Yeah, Commit to Memory. Yeah. you could do it with any of them if you want to, but yeah, just bear that in mind. Likewise, Academy Rector is very hard to replace. Birds of Paradise at a push. But that's it. That is my take on Hei Bai, Virus Guardian, or if you want to really change Go-Shintai around, if Life's Origins play that, like I say, I think it's going to be got to try out a Hei Bai first. It may just be better that Go-Shintai is better because it gives you shrine tokens. I mean, you can go and sort of like put in arcane adaptation if you want to, so everything becomes a shrine. But be careful, you will deck yourself. But one of the versions I have seen has played Thassa's Oracle in Go-Shintai. I haven't seen it obviously in Hei Bai yet. So you could actually put Thassa's Oracle in if you wanted to back up win condition. So yeah, let me know in the comments what you think you should add in, what I've missed out, what should be included. I do read all the comments. I do enjoy reading them all. I do respond. Thank you to everybody who's subscribed recently. I really do appreciate it. We've had a little bit of a bump. So up, as I record this evening, up to 790 subscribers here on YouTube. So please hit the subscribe button, hit the share button, hit the like button. If you can cheer, if you want to start the week off with the cheer for me, feel free to cheer as well. And yeah, I'll be back tomorrow with yet another one from Avatar. So thanks for watching. Take care. I'll see you soon. Bye.